been a big week in Conor McGregor news, and not only for good reasons. Obviously, he's talking about a $100 million payday to fight at the White House card next year, but we also found out this weekend he is taking a mysterious step away from social media, and he was just given an 18-month suspension for dipping and dodging the USADA crew. It's not quite USADA, but you get the idea there. What the hell is going on in the world of Conor McGregor? Are those two things related? My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thompson. Let's talk about the very suspicious things going on in Conor McGregor's life. Before I hand it over, this isn't quite as recent, but as you know, he was going to run for president. He was polling early as like the favorite. In Ireland, the early polls were like, this dude could actually win. And then he pulled himself out, said, I have to focus on my family. Now he's disappearing from social media. The drug testing people couldn't find him. I think he's going to rehab. What do you think, Josh?
I'm not quick to say that he's going to rehab. It's separation for him and his family leading into possibly the White House card, all of those things. The suspension too, probably understanding that he needs to step away and just get his life back together. Get more focus on the family, get more focus on the kids, get more focus on training. He's going to have to engulf himself into this. He's only got one, maybe two more fights left on his contract. Last I heard it was two, but I've also heard multiple times that it was one left. And that was the reason why they didn't want him to fight, or he was okay with pushing it off, is that the UFC was okay with pushing it off when the Chandler situation happened, was because they didn't need him, but they wanted to have him on roster as owing one fight going into their new TV deal negotiations. In terms of his rehab, I don't think it's rehab. I personally don't. I think he's just trying to get his life together. He knows it's a big moment. I know what you're thinking. You're such a negative Nancy. I could just see
it's not negative. He said under oath in that lawsuit with the lady, under oath, it was a coke fueled bender. Like, okay, but now he's disappearing off social media for 6 weeks. Sometimes A plus B equals C.
Doing a little booger sugar is not a big deal. Okay. Like, look,
dude.
He's somebody that's like, look, man, like, I don't really like cocaine. I just like the way it smells. You know, I'm just gonna kind of let it happen and see what's going on. Look, I don't know his life story, man. I've had him on the Weighing In podcast before. It's one of our original videos that Big John and I did when he came back to fight Dustin Poirier. I'm just not. I don't want to I don't want to speculate on the fact that he is going into rehab. I know Angelo likes to throw some shade every once in a while.
It's just an idea.
Okay, so allegedly, let's just say allegedly, so we protect your ass.
Of course, okay? It's just an idea. It's not. I can't accuse him of anything. Allegedly, for sure.
That I really believe he's just focused on making sure that he has a good return. He's got to have to get his life together. I think the suspension has been now public. All the stuff that's been going on with him personally, female wise, and all these videos. I mean, showing the dick pics, all this stuff that's been out.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you forgot about that. There's so many things that have happened recently that you forgot about the dick pic. Right. Yeah. Like, so there's a lot, and I really don't know what to say. Like, I think he's got me for a loss of words here. I think it's good that he's taken a step away from social media. Social media can actually do a lot to hurt you. I think he also has made it very public that, you know, during the BKFC presser, that he said that the star power and everything that happened so fast actually broke him. It just kind of made him so focused on being the star, being the person. Like, if you've noticed, he can't even do an interview now without almost like yelling into the mic. Everything he does now is like, it's almost
what do you think would make him so?
He's selling a promo,
animated and twitchy, and what extracurricular activities do you think could contribute
it could be a lot
to erratic behavior?
It could be a lot of things. It could be alcohol. It could be alcohol. It could be cocaine.
A downer, not an upper.
Alcohol can still do that to you. I know a lot of people that get real loud and real energetic when they get a little bit of alcohol in them. Okay. You go alcohol, you can go cocaine, you can go, I think probably like meth, you do crack. I mean, like all of these things. So, I mean, like, but it could also just be that's the lifestyle that he's lived. Like, think about this, like guys like Macho Man, Randy Savage, guys like Ric Flair, they live that lifestyle, even when they're not. Hulk Hogan, they all have that lifestyle outside of wrestling. Like, they became that person. It changed their identity. And I almost feel like he has kind of changed his identity. This is who he is now. The way he talks, every time he sees a camera, every time he sees a microphone, this shtick comes out. Chael has a very similar shtick every time he sees a microphone, but until you sit and talk with Chael, you realize like that's not really Chael. Like Chael is fun and it's great to be around, but that's not really like he's a cool dude. Like have had dinner with him, his wife, his kids, lunch with them. Like he's a good dude, man. Great to be
Sure.
around. Like, but that shtick is not this. It's not for real. So this could be really just his lifestyle now. He has decided to live this way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously I'm speculating the disappearing from social media. That's a weird thing to step away from. Like I totally understand it's fight camp. I'm locking in. I'm not doing press. I'm not doing snapping a picture, posting it to Instagram is not something like I need to remove that from my life. That's sort of to not be accessible through social media at all and completely step away from it is a very conscious decision. And I guarantee he's whatever this is a drastic life change. Maybe if we're, not putting my random thoughts into this, he is just locking in. Like, all right, it's been a wild couple of years. I have been partying like crazy. I have not been training. I've been traveling the world. I got the lawsuit. I got all this shit's going on. I need to lock in, get in shape to show the UFC that I will be ready for the White House. Because the last time he was booked, he let down the world. A
Yeah.
massive UFC 303 fight card. They promoted the hell out of it. They had the whole Ultimate Fighter. And allegedly, he broke his pinky toe or whatever it was. That was why that fight fell apart. I don't know if I buy that, but whatever. We'll take them at their word. So I assume, genuinely, like not just being like a nudge gossip, I assume he has unlimited money. He's been partying, flying around, enjoying the yacht life. And I imagine there's some party drugs and alcohol associated with that. You just get accustomed to that life. And when you have unlimited money, you kind of just do what you want. And I think he is going to a rehab type facility to break all of that out of him. And then he can lock in and train. Whether he's like a full blown drug, I don't, who knows, right? This is just my random idea of why he's stepping away from social media. That to me is the weirdest part, the stepping away from social media. The other aspect of all of this, and I don't think these two things are related, maybe they are, is it's not USADA, but the organization doing the random drug testing has suspended him for 18 months, not for a failed test, but because he did not tell them his whereabouts and didn't take the test he was supposed to take. So they just assume you're not clean and they push a suspension forward. Maybe that's because he's traveling the world, he's busy, he doesn't give a shit, there's not a fight booked, or maybe he's avoiding them on purpose for various reasons. But luckily for everybody, the reason he accepted this suspension is it's 18 months back, starting in early 2024. He is free and clear like March 6th, 2026, which does make him available for the White House card. Do you think he was avoiding them on purpose or just living his life and didn't tell him where he was going to be and just didn't care about the tests?
I think a combination of both. Like, okay, probably am avoiding them on purpose, probably knowing that, he did the movie. What was the movie called? Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Well,
He was jacked up for the movie
that looks a little suspicious. You know what I mean? So he was jacked for that movie. Like I said, it's all speculation. It really is. And it just comes
But
down
it's just us girls chatting, Josh.
It's us girls chatting, man. It's unfortunate because like he had so much talent, so much ability. He just kind of the money got to him, man. It does. It generally does. I mean, I read this study the other day that like 90-something% of people that win the lottery end up broke again.
Oh, I could see that. You just start spending it like it's never going to go away.
Well, think about that guy that won the $1 billion lottery. I think it was like 1.2 billion or something like that. He only walked away, and I say only, but he only walked away with 600 million, right? 625 million or something like that is because he took it all at once. Then he went out. First thing he did was buy a house that was 125 million in Beverly Hills.
You got to pay taxes on that thing.
Yeah, like you got to pay taxes on it. Luckily for him, he bought it in California, so the property tax. I mean, he's gonna have to still pay a lot of taxes every year on it, but it just like he's not going to generate any money to pay those taxes. So every year, those taxes are just going to fucking be gone. Every year they're going to be gone. So, I mean, The only good thing, I think the silver lining for that dude is if they got Prop 13, and Prop 13 only allows your taxes to be raised like less than 1% annually, so they can never just come back. And also, too, if the market does crash, he can have it reassessed for the lower price, and then that can only go and grow from 1% moving forward there, because I have my houses there too. So, yeah, same thing. I mean, just look, Conor is in a position where he needs to get his shit together if he wants to be on that White House card. I think I do understand what you're coming from with the rehab situation, given because they don't want to have some weird cocaine in the library situation again, especially if Connor's in the house, or John Jones. You've got both of them on the fucking card. And if you found some cocaine in the library, it'd be a little suspect. Yeah, man. It's like I said, it's all speculation. Where do you think he goes from here, though? Like, he's got one fight, and no matter who he fights, it's Chandler. The Chandler fight, it just doesn't make any sense.
Oh, what? Why not?
Make any sense? None.
I think it's the only fight that makes. I don't know who Conor can beat right now. Like,
we're not trying to get him a win. He's 38 years old. Why am I trying to get him a win? I'm not trying to get Chandler a win either. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to steal the guys that can. This is the format for being a promoter. Doesn't matter who you are. You're on your way out. No matter what Conor does, he will never be the old Conor. They see the writing on the wall. Let the man get destroyed. Dustin beat him twice. We're not getting him a win. Chandler's lost horribly in his last 2 or 3 fights. Let him be gone. Like, no, there's no reason to have. I'm not trying to build either one of these 38, 39-year-olds up. No, give him a Max Holloway. Give him somebody that, you have 2 or 3 more big time fights with, that I can piggyback and use that highlight reel of Conor losing and build them up and make more money. That's no. Before you say anything, that has been the formula for the UFC since the beginning. That's been it. So don't try and change it just because you're a Conor nut rider.
First of all, I agree that is the formula. Second of all, I'm okay with the Max Holloway fight because he has the BMF belt.
Yeah.
And Conor, there's nothing more badass than floating around on a yacht and enjoying life. With that being said, I understand that's the formula, right? And it sucks when we watch that happen to your favorite fighter, right? You get your favorite older fighter. Here's a young guy, beat the shit out of him so everybody can like you now because this guy's out the door. Conor doesn't fit into any mold. You can't just use him in that normal formula. He is the biggest star the sport has ever or will ever see, period, end of story. Right now, Alex Pereira is the UFC's probably biggest cash cow. 90% of normal people have no idea who he is. Almost everybody knows who Conor McGregor is, whether you've watched a fight in your life or not. He is bigger than the sport. The UFC needs him more than he needs the UFC right now. And I don't think they need to build somebody off of Conor. I think they just do Conor and Michael Chandler, or Conor and somebody else that's kind of old, Justin Gaethje. He's about to fight, for a belt.
You said 2 things that were the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. That he's bigger than the UFC.
I didn't say he was bigger than the UFC. I said the UFC needs him more than he needs them right now.
What the fuck are you talking about? Are you kidding?
No. Conor has plenty of money, and if he wanted more, he can just set up another freak show boxing event. He could fight Jake Paul for $100 million like that.
No, he cannot fight Jake Paul. He's under contract with the UFC. He cannot fight.
They'll figure some shit.
He cannot fight Mike Perry. He's under contract with the UFC. He cannot fight them. He cannot just set it up. Like that.
But I get your point, but he can retire from MMA and he's done, and then he can box. All you have to do is officially retire.
He cannot do that. He cannot do that.
You officially retire, then you wait a certain amount of time, and then you're done.
He cannot do that.
He's not locked up for infinity.
No, he is. He is.
In MMA.
He still has that. No. The only person that was given the permission to go and box was Masvidal. That was it. He was given permission. He still has fights on his contract. He may potentially come back to the UFC, George Masvidal. Nate Diaz was done with his contract and left to go fight boxing. That's why he's having a hard time getting back. Conor McGregor was given permission to go fight against Floyd Mayweather.
No, of course, Dana promoted it.
He cannot go fight. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Let's put your law degree aside and let's focus on the point that you were challenging. I said the UFC needs him
contract. You cannot. Randy Couture announced his retirement and then tried to go fight Fedor. Nope. You cannot do that. And then guess what? He had to come back and fight. It doesn't, you cannot do it. I wish you, like, they can hold you until you're done. That's what that stupid like, that's what the problem is, I think, with the UFC contracts. A lot of fighters have had this issue. Like, I'll just sit 2 years out. It doesn't matter. They still have fights under contract until they release you. It's not until in perpetuity, which it can be, though, if they want to hold you for 5 years. But once they know you're over 40, 42, 44, they're like, nah. They also want to give it a long enough time period where, like, you're not ruined by fighting somewhere else and making their promotion look bad. I'll give you an example. Robbie Lawler was offered a ton of money to fight BKFC. They don't have a contract with him, but there was talks and conversation about, hey, Robbie, you went out like on your you went out with a great performance in your retirement fight. Let's not ruin that by going to somewhere else, right? It doesn't matter if it was BKFC, any promotion, and matching yourself up against a boxer who's just straight boxing. And it just doesn't make any sense. You right now, everyone still remembers that last fight you had. Let's not ruin it. UFC wants that.
Of
They want to
course.
make sure their fighters leave and don't make them look bad after. They can't stop them from making the money, but he is retired because that was his last fight. Fighters that still have a fight on their contract, they have to wait 2, 3, maybe 4 years. By then, no one's going to want them. They've been removed from the sport too long. Conor McGregor has a different story, but they can hold his contract for 5, 6, 7 years if he says he's retired.
All right. So let's say he's not allowed to compete in any other combat sport. I would still argue that the UFC needs him right now more than he needs them. He's got plenty of money. He's got plenty of businesses. Obviously, he probably is spending the money like crazy. He did lose his brand ambassadorship with the Forged Stout, I believe, even though he was just promoting that at BKFC. So maybe they're back in good terms. But my point with all of that is Conor McGregor is massive, a tremendous superstar, next level. We'll never see anything like it ever again in this space, period. At least not in the next 20 years. Now, where I'm going with all of that is they don't need to. That was me countering your point that you got to use him. He's old. We'll use him to build up somebody young. The UFC did sign that $7.7 billion Paramount deal. That's locked in. And then, we don't have the ins and the outs. Maybe there are tiers they have to hit. There could be penalties for low viewership. I don't know. But there is an expectation that you are going to get a certain number of eyes on your product. And there's only a few people in this world right now in an era where we don't have a lot of superstars that can get the eyes. John Jones is not a giant pay-per-view seller, but for free on CBS, there'll be some eyes. Conor McGregor, no matter what that dude does, there'll be eyes. Ankalaev, no eyes whatsoever, but Alex Pereira, now there's eyes. And there's not really a lot of other people, right? Ilya, Islam, there's a couple of huge fights you can do. So my point, I don't think they take Conor and put him against somebody that's not that big of a deal. I think the only two options are Michael Chandler because he could potentially win that fight. And I think the UFC does want Conor to win. He could potentially win that fight. Or you do Max Holloway because it's for a belt and it's not insane to have that BMF belt on the line. I think those are the only two options to put together a reasonable fight people will care about with Conor.
I know you're trying to use logic. I get it. But just logic out, but the logic though that you're using is ridiculous. You're trying to say that, like, they need Conor. Like, you said it yourself. They have the CBS deal. The CBS deal itself will make stars. CBS and Paramount, it being free now available, all the biggest shows will be on there. Now it's just up to the fighters to provide action, to really deliver the goods. Like, go out there and fucking let it fly. You will never be seen on a bigger network ever. Like, this is the biggest thing you could possibly be seen on. It's up to you. I go back to Strikeforce when it was on CBS. That whole fucking thing, they shit the bed on it because of the Nate Diaz and Jake Shields and Mayhem Miller controversy in Nashville. That whole thing fucked Strikeforce. All those fighters could have been making millions of dollars had that been a success story, but it wasn't. In this situation, these guys and the way the UFC runs their business, and I've said this forever, UFC is the best at making stars out of nothing. You can make us think about this. Merab was not really loved. Wins the title. Now all of a sudden, everyone loves him. Talk about his gas tank, talk about his energy. They've got videos now all over social media, all over YouTube of Marab just doing dumb, wild, crazy shit. Fucking climbing rocks with a broken arm, fucking jumping in ice water
A
and
frozen lake.
hanging his head against the like just wild stuff. But that's humanizing him. That's making him legit. Conor's already been humanized. He's already been somebody that everyone knows more about him than they would like how big his dick is. Okay. Like they already know that type of stuff and
Good
they don't
size.
want to know those things. Angelo,
I mean, that was I would have leaked those pictures too if I were him. I get it.
Jesus, you fucking pervert. It just look, the UFC does not need Conor. Does not need him. Doesn't need Alex Pereira. Now, don't get me wrong, they're going to suck the last little life out of them they possibly can, which they should, which is what they do to every fighter. It doesn't matter who it is. John Jones, same thing. They will build new stars on the CBS platform. There's just no way around it. Think about that. One time, maybe 2 times a month, you're going to get a live show free on CBS. I can do a ton of things with these guys, with this new talent, this new echelon of fighters that are coming up. Yusuf Zalal, I could do something with that. His dominant performance over Josh Emmett last week, I could do something with that. Okay, I can take the younger guys that are coming up and really start to build them and put them on that platform under Alex Pereira, under Conor McGregor, under Marab, under these guys. I can build on that. So I think you're wrong in terms of that they need Conor. They don't need Conor. Of course, they're going to use him. It's nice. That can help build up the younger stars, but they don't need Conor. They haven't needed Conor in 5 years.
So I agree and disagree. I mean, of course, the CBS viewership would be incredible. I have the numbers here. When Strikeforce was on CBS, the Fedor versus Rogers card did 4.04 million views. That's a giant number.
Yeah.
That nobody is watching any UFC event at that volume. Not a pay-per-view, not a fight night, nothing.
What was
Once
the
it's
Kimbo and Shamrock one? That did like 9 or 6 million, I think.
that
I
one,
remember
no, that
Zelly had to step in.
that peaked at 6.51 million views. That was tremendous. And that's the point I was going to make. That card was not very good. Kimbo was not very good, but Kimbo was a giant name and the whole world wanted to see it. So the views were insane. And that's what Conor is. To build a superstar, you need the consistent views. You need to get out there. You need to keep promoting and pushing and promoting and pushing. And more than anybody, you worked for CBS. Did you fight on CBS? Were you on that card? No.
Uh-uh.
But more than anybody, the first event, the Strikeforce event on CBS did over 4 million views. The second did 3 million. It got no hype. It was kind of a bad card. 3 million views is objectively a tremendous number in this sport. And CBS was like, we're done with you people. Whoa, we're out. They bail fast. Like they bail real fast. So if the first couple of UFC events aren't huge, they might bail. And obviously they have a contract, and I don't know all the legalese. You clearly have a law degree, so you could let us know. But they may be in a situation where the CBS is like, we're still going to put it on there. We need 3 fights, not 5. Or we need they might make adjustments because it makes sense in the middle of April, May, June, July, where there's no other sports. But on a Saturday night when we have college football and we have March Madness, and now they can't air some of those things because there's a UFC event on and they're seeing what competing networks are doing with viewership, it could get squirrely. And my only point to all of this, because I'm going to stay on task here, is Conor McGregor is a guaranteed tremendous viewership. Guaranteed. I don't care who he's fighting. It's guaranteed tremendous viewership. And if you can get him a win, you can get that guarantee 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I do think they want him to get a win. I don't think they give a fuck about building somebody off of Conor. I think it's like, how much cash can we squeeze out of this guy? Let's do Michael Chandler. Let's do Max Holloway for a belt, a fake belt. Like anything that gets them tremendous views.
He could lose to Michael Chandler.
He could. He might. That's why he's going to rehab, allegedly.
First off, because I do have my law degree, they're definitely not changing. They're not bailing. CBS will not bail on this. They will be all in. They will do the 1 or maybe even 2 fights a month with their pay-per-view model, basically their free TV.
The numbered events.
Yeah, basically, like there's a whole new hierarchy in the CBS family. there's a whole new group of people that are running CBS and in Paramount. So that new group, they're bought in. You don't pay 7.7 billion. You're like, nah, we're gonna just go ahead and push you to the side so we can have college football. No, they'll just make sure that the schedule works out better. Like, hey, this is what we have for our Saturday night CBS college football games. UFC's pay-per-view or whatever it is going to be a better pay-per-view. So we're going to put this over that. Now, obviously, like if you have, I'm just speculating, like if you have Bama versus Notre Dame or whatever it is, okay, then that's maybe one where that's a fight night or that's a weekend that we miss.
Well, CBS is only the numbered events, not the fight night.
No, I understand what you're saying, but like that's something where you don't have to worry about it. You're just going to only schedule it based around whatever your big time football events are, football, whatever it is, like college football. I mean,
what they might do is force the UFC to do some of those events at like 3 p.m. We might get like a Saudi Arabia fight time, even though they're here in America, because of larger conflicting sports.
I don't know.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot I'm sure that we don't know in terms of how they're going to work it all out. I think it's going to be
NFL playoffs are Saturdays too.
I think it's going to be a Saturday night type situation, and they're going to run with it. I don't think the Saudi Arabia, like their deal for 7.7 billion is going to guarantee them a lot.
Yeah, they spent the money. They're going to invest in it for sure, but they also have to sell ads. Like these are not going to be commercial free events.
Yeah,
and they got to sell the ads, so they're going to need the view. Again, the only point to all of that is I think they need Conor, especially early, to show CBS.
I will give you the early. Like it'll be good. That's why I was originally what I said was they kept that one fight or two fights on his contract to use them for the new TV negotiation rights. I will give you that. Okay. But you twisted this all around to where the reality is they don't need him. They just want him on the card. That helps their numbers, especially in the beginning, but they don't need him. Like if he wins or loses, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to go out of business without Conor McGregor,
no,
but
it helps them if he does win. It does help. But like to say that, because it sounded like you said, I'm gonna have to rewind back this tape.
I said they need him more than he needs them.
Yeah, but you also said he's bigger than the sport. I think that's what you said.
I said he's the biggest star in the sport. He's not bigger than the sport.
Okay, he's not bigger than the sport. No athlete has ever been bigger than the sport.
Correct. I mean, he's the biggest star in the sport, though.
Okay. You think he still is?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you were to bring him and Habib back, and this is no bias because Habib's my boy,
but why would there be bias here?
Who do you think if you brought Habib back, do you think that would get a bigger draw than Conor? If Conor,
not even close. Not even close.
Interesting.
No.
Interesting.
No.
Hasn't lost.
And that's not a slight on.
He's never lost. Isn't coming off 2 knockout losses.
He lost to Gleason Tebow.
No, he did not.
And your boy Joe Rogan says it too.
Shut your whore mouth, dude. You're so ridiculous.
Text Joe Rogan right now and say, "Did you beat Gleason Tebow?"
I did. The word Joe thought he beat.
Yeah, 100%. Gleason won that.
Too bad the judges thought it was all 30-27 for him. It's fucking wild. Scorecards say 30-27, but all 3 of the judges were wrong. I love Joe. Joe's a great guy, man. But in that fight, I thought Habib won.
I think you're looking at it through the lens of, and understandably so, a fight fan. You're looking at it through the lens of a fight fan, and as a fight
and a promoter,
and as a promoter and fight fan,
and a lawyer,
with a law degree, Habib coming back is impactful, right? Retired as champion, never lost. He's not old, he's a little heavy, but let's say he dials it back in, whatever. It's interesting for sure. But as a person that lives in this world and understands how many people know who Conor McGregor is and have heard the good, heard the bad, seen this, like Conor McGregor is international news, anything he does. Habib is not. The most viral Habib ever went is when he got kicked off a Spirit Airlines flight for looking the way he looks. That's the most viral he ever went. And that's not a negative thing. That's because he's a good human being who lives a good life, where Conor's a mess, but a mess with a lot of attention. If Conor McGregor did Dancing with the Stars right now, it'd be the most viewed debut of any Dancing with the Stars season ever. Like he's huge, and nobody can do numbers the way he does.
You believe that? You believe? First,
I absolutely believe that.
It would only last one episode because he doesn't know how to.
Yeah, there's no way he could.
He can't dance. He can't. And Spirit Airlines is going out of business now. They just filed bankruptcy. So it's like
I don't remember. I don't even know if it was Spirit, but it
that
was one
lets
of
you
those
know.
airlines.
That lets you know. They actually have a fucking meme of like all the Spirit Airlines on the floor. Be like, yeah, this is fucking what happens when you kick Khabib off the plane. Hilarious. I think to wrap this up, because we've rambled on long enough, is see like UFC and CBS. This can be a huge partnership. The Paramount position on this as well is huge for them. They have an app that works. People like it. People use it. CBS is huge in terms of in the States. I think it's also available in Canada and other places. So just bottom line is to grow your stars in the US, which is where a lot of the a lot of the popularity grows for these athletes. If you can do that, you'll have stars plentiful. There'll be plentiful of stars. Okay. So the UFC is famous for being the number one promoter in terms of making people stars that just they don't even have really star power. They can make anyone a star. Just remember this, and I use this every single time. They had everyone talking about how Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather or could box Floyd Mayweather. That's how good they are at selling you something. I had
Yeah.
people actually telling me, friends in California, how do you think Ronda could box? And literally they're like, oh, she's bigger than Floyd, though. She's bigger. And I'm like, no, 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 she cannot. No. But people were asking me that question. That lets you know how good they are at promoting people.
Sure. No, the UFC by far the greatest promoters this
Mhm.
sport has ever seen or will ever see. They can definitely create something out of nothing. They've done it a million times over. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it falls and crashes, and they just do it again with somebody else later. I have no doubt that they'll be successful no matter what. I do think they need Conor McGregor. I think there was a very frank conversation behind the scenes. I think he does want to fight in the White House card. Who wouldn't want $100 million? And
Absolutely.
I know he asked for that number, and I know it seemed absurd. It's not that absurd of a number. It genuinely isn't, given how much money they generate, given how much interest and money he generates. So I think there was a sit down that was like, hey, you screwed us at UFC 303. We cannot be in that position again. I need your commitment that you will be dialed in, you will be clean, and you will show up. That's why I do think he ended up in rehab. Again, this is not a real thing. This is just an idea. I could be way off. That's why I think he went down that path. That's why I think they accepted the suspension. Like, all right, let's clean this all out, both physically clean, both paperwork wise with the commission. Let's get it all clean, nice, good slate, get back in the good graces of everybody and everything so that we can go ahead and fight next year. And I think there was real conversation behind the scenes to make that happen.
We've seen fighters have come back saying put themselves back in the good graces of the fans. Okay,
Yep.
Kobe Bryant when he cheated on his wife, other fighters and or other basketball players, other athletes, those kind of situations. We've seen them all come back, and several of them, like Tiger Woods, people loved him again after he ended up winning, I think, the Masters or winning another tournament when he came back after all the drama that he had been through. So fans will jump right back on the bandwagon if you show that you're right in the ship. So if he
Yep.
can ride his ship, I think he'll have fans come back to him and be like, okay, look, he's got his life together. He's not doing what he was doing before. And if you go back and listen to some of his old interviews, man, he was very humble in some of those
Oh, he
situations.
was the best, dude.
Spoke
Pete
great,
Connor
very
was the
humble.
best.
Yeah, he did a good job of promoting not just himself, but being classy about it. He stepped away from that years ago, and just it's all been downhill ever since. Whatever the cause of that was, who knows? I mean, it could be a lot of things.
Money and fame. And he actually said that in I think it was the BKFC
It
this
was the
past.
BKFC, yeah.
And he was like, the fame, the attention. It has to. Listen, if you gave me $100 million right now, and first of all, he got $800 million, not one, 800 between the whiskey, the Floyd fight, and a bunch of other stuff. But let's say you gave me $100 million right now. I would absolutely be a different person. But if you didn't also make me famous, I could probably maintain, like, I like my friends. I like you know what I mean? I would maintain some semblance of this. I would just have much nicer shit. But if you gave me $100 million and made it so I can't go to the grocery store without getting mobbed because I'm so ridiculously famous, I am not the same person anymore. And it's impossible for me to be the same person. So maybe he did just, too much fame, too much money too quickly, about 5, 6, 7 years of that. And now it's like, all right, I've settled into my new life. I understand how this all works now. I need to dial it back in
Mhm.
and get a real life going again. Otherwise, I'm going to, God knows what I'll be at 50.
All right, guys. Hey, let us know if you think the UFC needs Conor McGregor, and like Angelo's own words, that he's bigger than the sport. But hey, go ahead and drop us a comment down below on who needs who. Does Conor need the UFC? And does UFC need Conor? Do they need each other? Is it a marriage that needs to be worked out so we can have him on the White House card? Does Conor headline the White House card, and who does he headline it with? Drop us in the comments. Let us know. Hit that thumbs up and that bell and the notifications so you get notifications on when we drop our shows. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to us. Continue to subscribe to us, share our content everywhere, and thank you. Angelo, Josh Thompson, we are out.